welcome to this Inspire podcast brought to you by Payable. With us, we have Michael Tyrimos, founder and managing director of Capacitor Partners. Welcome, Michael. How are you?
Good to be here. Good to see you. I'm great. How are you?
Great. I really just want to get into, your own personal journey and what inspired you to start Capacitor Partners and the path you took to get there.
So I'm gonna fast forward. I'm not gonna go to the beginning of how it all started, how I got into trying to start my own things and all of that. I'm just gonna start at the point Capacitor started. So it was in the middle of the pandemic, and there was a very tricky time for companies around the world that found themselves stuck behind when it came to digital transformation, when it came to working remotely, being able to accommodate their stuff, and also having lack of visibility and capability to get in touch with their customers. So a lot of companies around the globe were facing that, not just in Cyprus. So what they were lacking to do this transformation was not just technology skills or business skills. It was something in between. It's what the Wall Street Journal had once called the purple people who know both sides of the business, meaning they have the business skills and they have the technical skills. And they were lacking someone who would come, join them, and help them do this transformation. So that was what I was doing before in Cyprus and abroad. And I thought it might be a good chance to, give them that extra capacity. And that's how it started as Capacitor Partners. So I went on to pitch to one of the large companies in Cyprus in retail and ask them, do you want to give this a try? Because I had some track record in product management, in turning companies around from before. And they're like, okay, let's go. And my only term was that you set the price, I'm not going to set the price. But my only term is that if you're happy with the service, I want you to feature it in Business Magazine. And when this came out, I didn't know that many of the other consulting companies were trying to get that one client. So when it came out in business in February 2021, a lot of other companies saw that. So on that day, I had 11 requests from clients, potential partners, and all that. And that's how the journey really started and it took off.
That's really interesting. And it's definitely during the pandemic, there was a lot of business that were racing to sort of adapt to digitally and transform in the span of months, even weeks. So Cyprus is sometimes it's been a little bit slower to get there digitally, but so I would like to know actually what's some of the biggest challenges you faced early on, and how did you turn them into successes, especially in trying to get the business community on board?
There were two main challenges. The first one is, as you mentioned, getting the business community on board, because when you start a specialized niche boutique firm, they're not just going to trust you right away. So it took time to build a network, one client referring to another, having case studies, having a track record, and eventually getting that cycle where we are today, where we actually serve companies in 6 different countries, 11 different industries, 3 governments, and we are now expanding abroad as well. So it really took a lot of effort building brick on brick to get there. The other biggest challenge was because I was a solo founder, and initially I started this out on my own. And for the first 2 years, before I hired the first employee, I was on my own. It felt really lonely and it was an upward struggle. So I had a very clear decision from the beginning that I don't want to put in any investors. I wanted to start this, steer it the way and speed I wanted it to go, and basically try to get to where I wanted to be by bootstrapping. And that's what happened. So building that initial capital to start hiring people, being able to make investments, etc., took a little while longer than if I had accepted some investment offers, 4 in particular that came in. But eventually we got there, got the first employee, got the second employee, then grew the team, got into offices, and now expanding abroad.
It's an interesting story to hear, like how it started from the ground up, really, and how you tried to keep it that way.
Yeah.
So that the successes remain in house. And since you're so involved, and we've talked about how Cyprus, we talked about how difficult it was in Cyprus, especially to start in a pandemic and everything. I really want to get your opinion on how would small markets in Cyprus embrace the digital transformation, and how best should they stay competitive?
Yeah. So you see, there's a paradox, right? When it comes to Cyprus, it is a small market, but it has very, very interesting dynamics. Although it's small, it's a very good testing ground. We actually had many large corporations in food, in technology, in finance, and so on and so forth, coming and testing their products and technologies here before they launched it worldwide. Because the crowd here, the audience, is educated. They're very adept when it comes to technology. They're very well literate when it comes to technology. And they have certain habits that you would find in a very developed market. And I'm talking about the audience, not necessarily all the services that are available to them, but the audience Cypriots as such. So doing business in Cyprus doesn't mean you're behind when it comes to transformation. I'm talking about the private sector, although the public sector is making strides to get there eventually. But when it comes to the private sector, there is appetite, they're pushing, and they're having the problems you would see in any company or even government organization abroad. You will have the transition from what we call the digitization, when you have Excels and digital files, into using digital tools. So they're moving into their digital transformation journey. You have the same issues when it comes to culture and resistance to change, meaning you will see people saying, why should I change the way I work? It's this typical things. But Cyprus and Cypriot companies in the private sector, they're making strides. They're actually ahead. And we are seeing a lot of consumer technologies actually thriving here in Cyprus. So although it's a small market, it's a very good testing ground. And it gave us a good launch base to start here, gather some case studies, and actually be able to show these case studies to gain clients abroad.
Excellent. It's good to hear.
I believe in Cyprus.
Cyprus is, it's good to hear that Cyprus is making these strides, especially when it's been a long road sometimes.
Yeah.
Just to wrap it up, and especially considering that you've made a ground up sort of company and approach, I really want to know what advice do you have for young entrepreneurs?
Yeah. So I have the opportunity to advise a number of people who want to start their businesses or startups, which is the best word. And it's usually the same story. We get it wrong. Everyone has in their mind, how is it like to, have an idea, raise funding, build the startup with the funding I raised, and then go on to the global stage. And you see people having an idea and not making an effort to build the product, because in their mind is that I need to get the funding first. Without it, nothing happens. So you see ideas circulating for 2-3 years and so forth. What I would recommend to these people, no matter the age they're at, no matter the professional stage they're at in their career, is that if you want to start something, just start. Don't focus on how you're going to conquer the world, on how you're going to disrupt big businesses. Start from step one. Build an MVP, a minimum viable product of your business or service. Find your first client and actually offer them something they would be willing to pay. When I was starting Capacitor, people were telling me, oh, why you want to go into the consulting business? You have the big companies. Why should anyone trust you? If I heard those people and those voices, I wouldn't be anywhere near to what me and my team have achieved today. But I just made a PowerPoint presentation of what it's about. I started knocking on doors, presenting, and I got the first client who trusted me, the one I mentioned at the beginning, and that's how it all started. So step one, what is the step one? You should focus on that, execute it, and then the next step, and before you know it, you would have climbed the mountain, and it will all be history behind you. But that's how you get to the top, step by step.
Those are really valuable points. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me, and well done on this amazing initiative you're doing in Nicosia.
Thank you.
Thank you.